Is it Kang or is it Dr. Doom? Welcome to the Comics Box Podcast. I'm Richard Cole, the Amari in Amari Communications. And I know it's been a while, but there's been so many changes in the comic book movie world, primarily with the MCU. Um, I was going to do an episode about that. I'll probably bump that for the next episode. But there's a lot that's been going on. Now we got the actor strike, that's over and done with, and lots of stuff back in production. Got a few delays going on. But yeah, definitely the big news, the possible phasing out of Kang the Conqueror. And we don't know if it's a combination of the legal troubles with Jonathan Majors, or that this particular storyline isn't resonating with the fan base, especially with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I know I had high hopes for that movie and ideas of what that could have been. Like I said, I love Jonathan Majors' performance as Kang, whether it's he who remains, whether it's Kang, whether it's Victor Timely. But Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania as a film, it just didn't click, and not because of he was the saving grace of that film, to be honest. But like I said, I would have done that differently, and I'm going to eventually do a video on that one. But again, the rumors are that they're actually going to phase out that storyline, and phase, whether it's, I guess it's his character, phase the character out and possibly replace it with Dr. Doom. So I'm going to talk about, I don't know, maybe not necessarily the pros and cons, but just some possibilities. Starting with the season finale of Loki, which leaves the door open for a lot of possibilities. I love the way that ended. I love how it, elevated Loki's character. I love that it's taken his character to a whole different level with that. And in a way, it addresses, or how it addresses, the Kang situation, where a lot of people are interpreting it as, oh, they're going to phase him out. Oh, this is how they're going to phase out his character. They're hunting all the variants down. And, it's kind of a one and done thing. That's the explanation. And then when they start off with whatever they're going to start off with, whether it's Deadpool 3 or whether, it's whatever comes down the road in a few years, then for those that aren't deeply entrenched into it, then it's like, oh, well, what happened to this Kang person? Oh, well, he got taken care of in Loki season 2. Oh, okay. And a lot of people are interpreting it that way. I get that. I saw it more as it biding some time. Once this trial is over and done with, once it's decided whether he's guilty or innocent, and especially if he's innocent, then you got time to, like, okay, well, let the public kind of forget about what happened, and then by the time we bring him back, we can bring him back strong. It'd be just in time for the Avengers movie, which, like I said, as of this taping, there's news about that, whether it's not going to be Kang Dynasty anymore, whether it's going to be Secret Wars Part 1 and Part 2, and like I said, bringing in Dr. Doom again. It's anybody's ball game at this point. But like I said, I won't get into, like I said, the whole legal issue with that. It is an unfortunate situation, and especially, like I said, because he has done such an amazing job with that role of Kang, that this puts a black eye on it. It's messed up, and like I said, I won't get into the legalities of it, but like I said, the Loki season finale, it leaves a lot of possibilities open. And like I said, you got one, it sets up, it raises the stakes because, yeah, you got how, I love how at least they explain away the Quantum Mania Kang, but now it sets it up to where, like, okay, now you're going to get the real Kang. I mean, when I was a kid reading the comics, and especially, Avengers comics, and I would read like reprints, I think, yeah, reprints, or anytime Kang made an appearance, he was a villain that kind of disturbed me. He was like him, Kang, and Ultron. And it's kind of weird how the MCU is kind of, in a way, kind of watered those villains down at the, especially Ultron, really. But Kang, even though, like I said, powerful performances, and I think the best is still yet to come, or depending if it goes the other way, the best was yet to come. It's kind of sad that those two villains, probably the ones that gave the Avengers the most hell, have been so watered down. Put it that way. But like I said, it sets up those stakes to where we can eventually get that Kang to do that. Be that villain that gives the Avengers absolute hell. And then I want to see that on the big screen because, like I said, every comic book appearance, and I think even the cartoon, the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, there was an episode, the first episode dealing with Kang. Like, he popped up in that time chair, and I mean, he was wrecking shop. That's the Kang the Conqueror we want to see in the MCU. But we'll see how that works. But I think what it does, the Loki finale, it sets up multiple variants to be used for future films. So like I said, if hopefully he can be found innocent, all the evidence supports that, and like I said, let some time go by. They got plenty. The actor strike delayed a lot of stuff. Really, the box office performance of a lot of the films in these last couple of phases has caused them to take a pause and regroup and rethink about what they're doing. So let that time pass, and should you bring him back, or even if you recast, then enough time has gone by to where, like, okay, we know what we want to do now. We want to raise those stakes and do that. But I think what it also does, and I mentioned it down, the watering down part, is, the character is downgraded due to Major's legal troubles. So again, either recast can happen, or they totally write him out. And you see this a lot with really TV series, mostly. And usually when this happens, it's really because, in this case, it's not, well, I guess there's been cases where, if the actor's gotten into some kind of legal trouble, they've done it. But usually the most common is when, an actor starts asking for too much money, or he's unhappy with whatever conditions, kind of like the Charlie Sheen probably being one of the most recent situations where you have, the star or whatever that's so disgruntled with everything that it's like, okay, well, if that's how you feel, guess what we're going to do? We're going to write you out. But what they do, they don't write the character out like, oh yeah, he went to Paris somewhere, or he's living on an island somewhere and chilling. No, they kill you off. I mean, it's kind of like, oh yeah, we're writing your checks, and this is what you think. Okay, guess what we're going to do to your character? So we make sure that you don't ever come back. And if you do, or if we do want to bring that character back, we're going to recast it. But it opens the doors for that. And unfortunately, because really the MCU is almost structured like a TV series. So I can see the possibility of something like that happening. But if you're going to replace Kang with Doctor Doom, and I know that there's been some, worries that, well, if he's not in the Fantastic Four movie, then he won't be developed as a character well enough to get you the Secret Wars to where people would be invested in that story. And I used to feel that way, but then I reminded myself of one particular way where you can introduce Doctor Doom. And it's ironic because the character I'm about to bring up was inspired, or I've heard, I don't know the real story. In the comments, just let me know. But this character was influenced by Doctor Doom. The person that created this character was influenced by Doctor Doom. And that character is Darth Vader. And we kind of live in this world, I think, no matter how old we are, we kind of got to this point of sophistication to where we feel like a character needs, like, this 2 to 5 to 10 year development, because we're spoiled now. We've had where like I said, you got Loki that's evolved from the first Thor movie all the way to the end of Loki season 2. Look how many years that's been to give that character that type of an arc. Something I don't think we've really seen in motion pictures, or if we have, they have to do it in 3 movies or less. So you don't really, and you have to be good enough of a writer and a good enough a director and a good enough actor to be able to pull that off in 3 movies or less. But given, what, 10 years roughly, where you've given this type of an arc, or longer than that, about a dozen years. Same thing, Tony Stark, from the first Iron Man movie all the way to Endgame, that arc, that was important. So we're spoiled on that. But I think a character like Doctor Doom, I mean, it's all there. The minute you see a character like that walk into a room, or the very first sentence, it tells you everything that you need to know. So I think if they do kind of course correct, and if they do decide to bring in a Doctor Doom, then you don't need, it's like, and if you really kind of want to give, send that Kang character off, like I said, depending on the outcome, have it set up to where, like, yeah, if Doom comes in, I'll give you one scenario, and Marvel, you can do this for free. I won't send the lawyers down, and I don't know, if you want to fly me out for the premiere or give me some free tickets or something like that, cool. But here's the idea, you don't really need, he doesn't have to be in, and I'm hearing he's not in Fantastic Four, or he's not the central big bad of the Fantastic Four. I keep hearing Galactus coming up for that. But here's how you bring Doctor Doom in if he's not established in Fantastic Four first. This is number one, if you do a Fantastic, actually it would work better if you did it as a Fantastic Four post-credit scene. So spoiler alert. We'll do the spoiler alerts early. But Fantastic Four post-credit scene, here you have whatever, Counselor Kangs, or you got Kang somewhere, a Kang, or Counselor Kangs, and here you have Doctor Doom, whether he's by himself, or, nah, I got it even better. So, Counselor Kangs, you got whatever, you could use Doom bots, or you could use Doom himself using, the powers of the Sorcerer Supreme with the technology takes out the whole room full of Kangs. And it's like he steps in just like Darth Vader's first appearance on screen. When he comes through that smoke, you know, the cape is flowing, he's got the swag, he's coming in, you know. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. And given the age that we live in, you could do that. Or you can have a nice battle sequence like Rogue One, like his appearance in Rogue One, where he steps out, and I mean he's really taking out Kangs, you know, taking them out altogether. You do that, and like I said, the way I see it, you could do it this way, have him do that, and then you have Doctor Strange. And I gotta go back to Secret Wars, because who else was with when Doom killed the Beyonder? Leave me a comment in the credit. Leave me a comment and let me know. But it was, I know Doctor Strange. It was definitely Doctor Strange. And you know, like I said, have him show up and they exchange some quick dialogue. Bam! There's your post-credit scene for Fantastic Four. Or, you know, whatever the first Avengers movie is, if it's still Kang Dynasty, yeah, have Kang just totally wreck shop. Have him win. Have him win only to have Doom take him out at the end. There he is. And then you can spend Secret Wars establishing, have with whatever, have Reed Richards talking to, yes, recast T'Challa. Have him talking to T'Challa about his history with Doom. There's your exposition right there. It's done in a few sentences, like, hey, we were close, we were in college, this happened to him, this has scarred him for life, we've been bitter enemies ever since. That's all you need. That is all you need. Let whatever plot points, exposition, character development, you can still establish that in Secret Wars. Have every move the Doom makes further explain that character to where it's like it's there. You have it right there. It's all you need. It's all you need. You don't need 20 movies to explain it. To me, to be honest, really, Thanos wasn't really all there until Infinity War. It's like he was just a couple of cameos. Really, even in Guardians of the Galaxy, even though he had more dialogue in that than anything else, up until Infinity War. Really, Infinity War is when you really got the gist of that character, what that character's motivation was. Because then he was just the villain. It was kind of like you knew he was the big bad, but as we were growing with the MCU, really, to be honest, he was no different than any other comic book villain that we've seen in comic book movies. It was just like we were just excited to see Thanos on the screen because we knew what we were going to get, especially if they were going in the direction of the Infinity Gauntlet. But you really didn't get everything you needed about Thanos until Infinity War and and Endgame. So now it's easier to look back, even to the first cameo at the post-credit scene of the first Avengers movie. It's easy to look back at that and go, oh yeah, now we get it. But it wasn't there. It wasn't even there for them. They didn't really have it spelled out yet. It was just the genius of Marcus and McFeely giving that character the weight that it had to make it work because that was a gamble. To make Infinity War and Endgame pay off, you needed that character development. And to be honest, it wasn't there until then. It really wasn't. So you could do the same thing for Doctor Doom, even though, I know there's been little hints and little Easter eggs here and there that you could say it is or it wasn't, but I think you can if you're going to swap that character out, and you need to do it within that 2 to 5 year span that we now have, then, like I said, if it's not going to be developed in a Fantastic Four movie, then for sure, definitely for whatever the first Avengers movie is. Like I said, you can establish it, both of those, as a post-credit scene, or do two post-credit scenes. Like I said, have something with Doom, no dialogue. You just see that, oh, he's established that he's in the universe. That first Avengers movie, have him step in at the end, take out Kang, then you got your Secret Wars for the next one. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that they'll swap Kang out for Doom? Do you think Doom needs two Fantastic Four movies and an Avengers movie or something, or be established in a whole nother movie altogether? Hopefully not like a Quantumania situation, but something that, like I said, I like my idea of, like I said, back when we were 11, there was no such thing as a Darth Vader until we saw that opening sequence of Star Wars, and he stepped in from the shadows after the stormtroopers done, they did their job, and just the first that told you everything you needed to know. I want those plans. you know Tear the ship apart until we have those plans. That's everything you needed right there. That's everything you needed. There weren't 20 movies before then to establish that. It was right there. And then everything else after, what his motivations were, what led him to become what he became. Yeah, that maybe took a few films, but nobody knew that Star Wars was going to take off like that. So it would have been one and done. And you needed to establish that character and have that character have a beginning, middle, and an end. And it set it up, like where, yeah, he ended up twirling off into space at the end. But, you had Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi to go deeper with the character, in other words. So, like I said, you can establish that this is one bad character, one bad you can establish that. But what do you think? Is it Kang? Is it Doom? Would you like to see both? What are your ideas for it? What would you like to see happen in the MCU going forward? Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. And that's going to end this episode of the Comics Box Podcast. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you're on Patreon, become a Patreon supporter, get early access to this episode and other content, bonus and exclusive content, plus free merchandise depending on what tier. Whereas there's always something free to get at any tier, but the higher the tier, the more stuff you get. Like I said, got a lot of stuff coming up for 2024, so be the first to be on the receiving end of all of that good stuff, that good comic book stuff, music stuff. It's all there, but check it out, and until then, create your day, create your life. Peace.